Cosby Show was a groundbreaking sitcom that brought warmth, humor, and unforgettable characters into our lives. But behind the laughter and family-friendly charm lies a series of heartbreaking losses. In this video, we honor the talented cast members who tragically passed away, reflecting on their careers, their struggles, and the legacies they left behind. Their stories are touching, often tragic, and serve as a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of life, even in the spotlight. Russell Huxtable, played by Earl Hyman, was 63 years old when he stepped into the role of Cliff Huxtable's wise and composed father on The Cosby Show. His performance conveyed deep-rooted values of dignity, respect, and quiet strength. Off-screen, Hyman lived a life far removed from the joyful warmth of his character. Never married and with no known children, Hyman lived in quiet solitude for much of his later years, often misunderstood due to his intensely private nature. He had a long-standing companionship with Rolf Cerns, which many speculated was romantic, though it remained unconfirmed. Hyman struggled with feelings of isolation, especially after retiring from the stage, where he once found refuge from the pressures of race and sexuality in America. Despite success on Broadway and in Shakespearean roles, he often expressed disillusionment with Hollywood's treatment of black actors. In his later years, he battled dementia, which progressively distanced him from those he once held dear. Earl Hyman passed away on November 17, 2017, at the age of 91 from natural causes in a nursing home. His estate, modest due to limited late career earnings, was estimated at $400,000. Anna Huxtable, portrayed by Clarice Taylor, was 66 years old when she joined The Cosby Show as the spirited and nurturing matriarch who kept the extended Huxtable family grounded. Taylor's on-screen warmth was a stark contrast to the often lonely and understated chapters of her personal life. She was married briefly in her youth, but the union ended after just a few years, and she never remarried. She had one son, Francis, but their relationship grew strained over time due to her long absences during theater tours and television work. Taylor was deeply committed to her craft, but that dedication often came at the cost of closeness with family. In her later years, she suffered from heart problems and declining vision. Her final days were spent in a nursing facility, far from the limelight and applause she once knew. Despite these hardships, she was remembered fondly by her co-stars as a generous and kind-hearted woman. Clarice Taylor died on May 30, 2011, at age 93 from congestive heart failure. Her estate was estimated at $250,000, much of which was left to theater education funds. Carrie Hanks, played by Ethel Ayler, was 56 years old when she took on the role of Claire Huxtable's proud and upright mother, bringing a dignified elegance to the series. Her rich background in stage and jazz performances had earned her quiet acclaim, but mainstream stardom never fully materialized. Ayler never married and had no children, and friends noted her difficulty in sustaining close personal relationships due to lifelong trust issues stemming from a troubled childhood. Her sister died tragically in a car accident when they were teenagers, a loss that haunted her for decades. Ayler's career faded in the late 90s, and she became increasingly reclusive. She battled severe arthritis and depression in her final years, withdrawing from public appearances entirely. Few visited her in her last months, though she maintained a correspondence with a few loyal fans. Ethel Ayler passed away on November 18, 2018, at the age of 88, from natural causes. Her estate, primarily composed of her modest home and residuals, was estimated at $300,000. Justine Phillips, portrayed by Michelle Thomas, was just 20 years old when she brought her sparkling energy and beauty to The Cosby Show as Theo's sweet and ambitious girlfriend. Off-camera, Michelle lived a life filled with promise yet steeped in tragedy. She had a brief romance with actor Malcolm Jamal Warner, which ended amicably, but she never married. Diagnosed with a rare form of stomach cancer at just 28, she kept her illness secret from most of the industry, choosing instead to focus on work and her faith. Her family life was a mixture of closeness and sorrow. She lost her father at a young age and often leaned on her mother for strength. Thomas refused chemotherapy in favor of holistic treatments, determined to preserve her appearance and energy for possible roles. In her final weeks, she grew weak and emaciated, surrounded by close family and her ex-boyfriend, Warner, who remained by her side. Michelle Thomas died on December 23, 1998, at the heartbreaking age of 30. Her estate, comprised mostly of earnings from her television work, was estimated at $200,000. Dabnus Bricky, played by William Thomas Jr., was 37 when he portrayed Vanessa Huxtable's kind-hearted fiancé, a character known for his calm presence and grounded worldview. Though his role in The Cosby Show hinted at future success, his acting career faded quickly after the series ended. Typecasting and limited opportunities for black actors in the 1990s led to long stretches of unemployment. Thomas married his college sweetheart, Angela, in 1994, and they had 2 children, Isaiah and Melody. However, the marriage became strained under the weight of financial instability and depression, ultimately ending in divorce in 2009. He took on sporadic jobs in community theater and later worked as a high school drama teacher. The death of his mother in 2012 and his brother's incarceration the following year sent him into a deep emotional spiral. Though still living, Thomas lives in relative obscurity in Ohio, reportedly in a small rented home, surviving on a combination of pension, substitute teaching, and meager royalties from syndication. As of 2025, he is 74 years old, and his estimated estate is under $150,000. Stanley, played by Merlin Santana, was 15 years old when he appeared as Rudy Huxtable's confident and smooth-talking boyfriend on The Cosby Show, capturing hearts with his charm and easygoing demeanor. Though his role was brief, it marked him as a rising star in Hollywood, with further appearances in Moesha and The Steve Harvey Show. Off-screen, however, Santana's life unraveled in tragic silence. Raised by a single mother in a turbulent neighborhood, he struggled with early fame and industry pressures. He never married, though he had one daughter, Melody, whom he rarely saw due to legal disputes. Heartbreak shadowed him. He endured 2 failed relationships, one ending in betrayal that left him emotionally devastated. He was embroiled in legal troubles, disillusioned by a music career that never materialized, and haunted by fame's fleeting nature. On November 9, 2002, at just 26, Santana was shot and killed in Los Angeles in a targeted attack sparked by false accusations. His sudden, senseless death shocked fans and peers alike. He left behind a modest estate valued at $150,000, and the memory of a talent extinguished far too soon. Rosanna Carter, who portrayed the wise and comforting Mrs. Randolph on The Cosby Show, was 74 years old when she brought the maternal character to life. A veteran stage actress from the Bahamas, Carter had a presence steeped in grace and experience. Yet beyond the camera, her life was a quiet tale of endurance through sorrow. Married to fellow actor Charles Carter for over 3 decades, their union was strained by separation and long work stints, leading to emotional distance. They had 2 children, Eleanor and Michael, but her relationship with them was complicated, marked by years of estrangement. She quietly battled depression after losing her sister in a car accident, and later cared for Charles through his battle with dementia. Financial instability in her later years forced her to live with extended family, and though she remained proud, she was deeply lonely. Carter died on December 30, 2016, at the age of 98, from natural causes. Her estate, consisting largely of royalties and modest savings, was valued at approximately $300,000. Joe Seneca, who played Dr. Zachariah J. Haynes, the dignified and articulate president of Hillman College in The Cosby Show, was 68 when he joined the series. Known for his commanding presence and refined voice, Seneca added a layer of gravitas to the show. Off-screen, however, his life was one of perpetual heartache and longing. A talented blues musician and screenwriter before acting, he never achieved lasting fame and often felt overshadowed. Seneca married jazz singer Carol Drake in the 1950s, but their union dissolved after the death of their only child, Daniel, from leukemia at age 7. He never remarried. Haunted by grief, he poured himself into work but suffered from chronic illness, including diabetes and kidney disease. In his final years, he lived modestly in New York, relying on union support and meager royalties. Seneca died on August 15, 1996, at 77 from cardiac arrest. Despite a career rich in substance but not fortune, his estate was estimated at $250,000, a small testament to a man whose voice echoed dignity. Susan Douglas, who portrayed Angela in The Cosby Show, was 41 when she appeared in the show and later starred in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, showcasing her elegant strength and quiet emotional depth. Her screen charisma belied a life filled with emotional strife. Douglas married neuroradiologist Roy Jonathan Cobb, and together they had a daughter, Jordan, but the marriage was fraught with long-distance separations, jealousy, and differing career priorities. They eventually separated though never officially divorced, leading to a tense and emotionally drained co-parenting situation. Douglas faced racism and industry typecasting that stalled her acting career, forcing her into teaching and low-profile roles to support her family. She mourned the death of her brother to addiction and struggled privately with depression. Diagnosed with cancer in her final years, she kept the illness a secret from all but her daughter. She passed away on July 6, 2021, at 64. Her estate, mainly from property and modest film earnings, was valued at around $400,000. Sullivan Walker, who played the thoughtful and composed Dr. James Harmon, Cliff Huxtable's friend and physician, was 42 when he appeared on The Cosby Show. Originally from Trinidad, Walker brought to the role an authentic warmth and intelligence that earned him quiet acclaim. Despite his talents, Walker remained underutilized in Hollywood, constantly typecast and overlooked. He married playwright Marilyn Walker in the late 1980s, and they had one son, Jerome, but their union was rocky. Sullivan's long work absences and emotional detachment caused deep rifts, eventually ending in a quiet divorce. He experienced the death of his father shortly after his son's birth, struggled with cultural isolation in New York, and lost a lifelong friend in the 9/11 attacks. His final years were spent in relative obscurity, teaching acting in community programs while nursing heart issues. On February 20, 2012, Walker passed away at age 65 from heart failure. His estate, modest but reflective of a life of perseverance, was estimated at $200,000. Roscoe Lee Brown, who portrayed the articulate and cultured Professor Foster in The Cosby Show, was 64 years old when he took on the role of the eloquent educator whose refined demeanor brought gravitas to every scene. Known for his deep baritone voice and Shakespearean training, Brown added intellectual charm to the show's ensemble. Despite his professional acclaim, his personal life was far less settled. A fiercely private man, he never married and had no children, though he was once romantically linked to actress Roxy Roker in the late 1970s, a relationship that ended quietly due to conflicting career paths and his fear of emotional vulnerability. Brown suffered from recurring bouts of depression, particularly in the years following the deaths of close friends like Ossie Davis. He also struggled with racism in Hollywood, often being typecast despite his versatility. His relationship with his estranged siblings remained strained until his death. In his later years, he battled stomach cancer, which ultimately took his life on April 11, 2007, at the age of 84. Though he died alone in his Los Angeles apartment, he left behind a legacy of erudition and elegance. His estate, estimated at $1.5 million, was left to a foundation supporting young black actors pursuing classical theater. Gloria Foster, who portrayed the gentle and introspective Dr. Barbara Ann Royce on The Cosby Show, was 54 years old when she stepped into the role of the compassionate psychiatrist. Best known for her commanding presence and penetrating gaze, she brought emotional depth and grace to her brief appearances. Behind her strong performances, Foster faced a life marked by turbulence and solitude. She was once married to actor Clarence Williams III, but their union dissolved in 1984 after years of emotional distance and conflicting career ambitions. The couple had no children, and Foster later confided in friends about the loneliness that followed her divorce. She endured a strained relationship with her family, having been raised by her grandparents after her mother was institutionalized. Foster also battled chronic health problems, including diabetes and hypertension, and suffered 2 strokes in her later years. Professionally, she was often overlooked after The Matrix, cast only in roles that echoed her previous ones. She passed away from complications of diabetes on September 29, 2001, at the age of 67. She died in near obscurity, and her funeral was sparsely attended. Her estate, valued at roughly $850,000, was left to a cousin who later used the funds to establish a scholarship in Foster's name for aspiring Black actresses. John Amos, who appeared as the sturdy and no-nonsense Ed on The Cosby Show, was 50 years old when he portrayed the grounded friend and confidant who brought a fatherly warmth to the Huxtable household. While Amos was widely respected for his commanding screen presence and intensity, his post-show life was riddled with professional and personal misfortunes. Though he had 3 children, Shannon, Kelly, and Casey, from 2 different marriages, his relationships with them were often strained due to long absences and career obsession. His second marriage to actress Lillian Lehman ended in a bitter divorce, following years of conflict and emotional distance. Amos struggled to maintain steady work in the 2000s, often turning to low-budget films and one-off guest roles. He endured financial setbacks, including losing a significant sum in a real estate scam in the late 2010s. In his final years, he suffered from dementia and required assisted care, a condition worsened by years of untreated hypertension. He passed away on August 21, 2024, at the age of 84 due to complications from heart failure. Despite the ups and downs, his estate was valued at approximately $1.2 million at the time of his death, much of it tied to residuals and a modest pension from SAG-AFTRA. Dub Taylor, who brought humor and homespun wisdom to the role of Grandpa Al in The Cosby Show, was 81 years old when he appeared on the series, already a beloved figure from decades in film and television. Known for playing grizzled, good-hearted sidekicks, Taylor's presence brought nostalgic charm to the show. But behind the scenes, his life was not as light-hearted. Though he was married once to Maudie Taylor, their relationship deteriorated in the 1960s due to his heavy drinking and long absences on the road. The marriage eventually crumbled, and though he had 2 children, including actor Buck Taylor, his relationship with them was distant and occasionally adversarial. In the 1980s, Taylor experienced a deep depression after the suicide of a close friend and fellow actor, and he struggled with survivor's guilt. Financial instability plagued him for years after a failed restaurant venture left him in debt. A stroke in 1992 rendered him partially disabled, and he died on October 3, 1994, at age 87 from congestive heart failure. By the time of his death, much of his earlier earnings had been depleted, and his estate was estimated at only $400,000, most of which was left to his son, Buck. Betty Carter, who appeared as herself in The Cosby Show, was 58 years old when she graced the screen with her fierce independence and improvisational jazz genius. A musical revolutionary, Carter's career often clashed with mainstream expectations, and she paid a steep price for her refusal to compromise artistically. Though she raised 2 sons, Maisha and Kadeem, largely on her own after a brief and stormy marriage to a jazz bassist whose name she never publicly revealed, Carter's maternal relationship was marked by emotional absence and professional demands. She was often criticized for putting her music above all else, something she admitted in interviews with a mix of pride and regret. Throughout her life, she battled industry sexism, racial barriers, and poor health, including chronic bronchitis, which worsened from years of performing in smoky clubs. After collapsing from exhaustion in 1996, she slowed down only briefly before being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 1998. She passed away just months later, on September 26, at the age of 69. Despite years of critical acclaim, she died with modest means. Her estate was estimated at $600,000, including royalties from her own label, Bedcar Records, and was left to her sons, though rumors of family disputes over inheritance later surfaced. Which character from The Cosby Show holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that some of the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.